AminiCorp Show. I am using now Restream.io, and so this is going out live to YouTube and LinkedIn, and eventually it'll go on to TikTok as well. And what I'm trying to do here is combine two disparate groups: capitalists and communists. I believe that these two groups are collaborating, will be the source of all of the solutions we need. I really do think these two groups need to come together, understand one another, collaborate, and prosper together. Not only we're in unprecedented times. I mean, you talk to anybody and they'll tell you that it's never been like this before. The country is about to tear itself apart, and rightfully so. You're both acting like a bunch of babies. I am an alt centrist. I am an extreme centrist. I will work with anybody and everybody to create prosperity and peace. I do not care. Your karma is between you and God, and I want peace and prosperity for all. So that all being said, I see us talking past each other, and what I want to talk about in this is the current state of our culture and our economy and our consciousness, really, where we are as a species, our evolution. So we have the economy, we have our culture, and we have our evolution, if you will. And these things are forming into some sort of mega trend, and we're entering uncharted terrain, and it's gonna get choppy. If you don't think it's already choppy, it's just because it hasn't hit you yet. It's gonna get really choppy. I mean, we all know the problems, right? We could all rattle off the problems. The problem is that most of the problems we're talking about are not the problems we need to be solving. Not only are we incarcerating more human beings than any other country in the world, destroying livelihoods and forcing people into unpaid labor, a lot of times on trumped up drug charges and just endless human suffering, which is completely avoidable. It's a decision we're making. We are entering an ecological era that is not good, not good. Microplastics are everywhere. They're in our lungs, they're in our food, they're everywhere, and they're causing hormonal disruptions, lower birth rates, higher cancer rates, all sorts of gender issues. We're seeing now also an absurd amount of pesticides in our food, causing what I think driving a explosion in chronic disease, in anything gastrointestinal, nutritional deficiencies, which cause nutrient lockout, which cause our organs to fail, which causes cancers and all sorts of issues. And at a tremendous cost. It's not like those things don't come with a negative impact. And if you are cynical and say, well, someone's making money off of the solutions, they're not. We can actually make more money if everybody was healthy, because we could come up with better ideas and produce more income and actually increase GDP instead of fighting to just not die as miserably as most Americans are dying these days. It's a really grim outlook. You go to Europe, and their chemical ban list for agriculture is like a mile wide, a mile long, and they can eat whatever they want and they don't get issues. They come over here, they try to eat organic, and their GI tract gets messed up. This is like a thing that's happening. So I want to dive into that. I have an article. Let's start with some tech news, though. These guys, these kids, these boys, really, they have the sparkle of youth still glimmering in their eyes that the calluses haven't formed yet from enough years of hard work. And this is unfortunately it's just, how many times is this going to happen until someone says enough is enough? Venture capitalists, firms, you have to say no to dumb ideas like this. And I mean dumb ideas because this is insane. This is insane. I cannot tell you how insane this is. These guys got into Y Combinator. They raised 1.8 million, and they want to bring AI and automation to mushroom production. Great, but you don't know a thing about what you're doing, and this is destined to fail because you are looking at me with a straight face and telling me that as of early 2023, they are planning to scale their production capacity to 50,000 to 100,000 pounds of specialty mushrooms per year. You're fired. No, there is no way you're going to be able to do that. You have no idea what you're talking about. Dude, if you think that's possible for these people who have no experience in successful mushroom farming, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. There's no way it's going to happen. And ag tech investors keep investing in these people when they don't have a grasp on reality. This is psychotic. It's so far removed from what's possible. It's psychotic. Now, nobody here means harm. I look these kids in the eyes from this picture. They don't seem like financial fraudsters. They don't look like the next Bernie Madoff. But they're getting funded. And that $1.8 million could have gone to a product or a service that actually could scale. The people that know how to grow fungi don't know how to talk VC. The people that know how to talk VC don't know how to grow fungi. And the two shall never meet. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem. They're going to blow all that money. And they're going to come to the same conclusion that I came to for an order of magnitude less money. Technology will not solve your agriculture problem. Just like technology won't solve your marketing problem, it cannot solve your agricultural problem. It is the environment in which the life grows that dictates how much growth occurs and the quality of that growth. And we as a species do not appreciate that. Capital allocators of this country do not understand that you cannot dump money on a solution and raise and grow more nutritious stuff. You just can't. Look at our cities. Our cities are full of people that are dying in squalid terror. We're hoping that more money and some Narcan can solve the problem. It can't. The environment in which these humans are living is causing death and misery. You have to change the environment to change the human. Just like agriculture, the environment in which the animal or plant or fungi is growing dictates everything. And adding stuff on top of a bad environment does not change the environment itself. Removing bad stuff changes that environment. This is the problem. So AI and automation have no place in their fungi farm for years. Because first you need to develop a system that produces the right environment so that you can grow fungi. Then you need to optimize that system to produce the kind of environment, a precise environment, that can grow more and more fungi. So you get an increase in density. Then you need to operate that system for a period of time, because you don't just have the system, you have workflows that feed into the system that effectively plant or inoculate, and then you have workflows that remove the fungi out of the system and reset it. Well, and that's a separate system. And then those workflows harvest, package, and label and ship, process, and send, and then you have to reset the system and start the cycle over. So you have a 4-stage process. One of them is the equipment and the AI, right? And the automation. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So then when you have too much, when you're growing food, the profit margins are slim. Fungi, it's a high margin product. Okay, it's more profitable. Sure. However, there's a limit on the amount you're going to be able to make, even in the highest end. If you add too much expensive capital equipment, including, let's say, AI and R&D and then automation, you're just eating your margins at the unit economic level, at the unit level, and every gram or pound of mushrooms you make will always and forever be unprofitable, and nothing you do will ever change that. So you have to start the system, invent the system, run the system, then scale, multiply the system, then run those systems, because now you have new workflows, right? And then maybe you can scale to a point where you need automation and AI, and in the simplest manner. However, if your focus is not operational excellence, as the great Andrew Frame taught me, then you're going out of business, because you need to produce high yields every time, which requires all these pieces and parts, and you need to do it safely, which is very hard, and then you need to do it nutritiously, which is the hardest thing. Yes, anyone can grow garbage spinach safely, but is it going to be nutritious? Anyone can grow nutritious spinach, but is it going to be dense enough to produce profits? When you get the density, you get the the safety concerns. So doing all the consistency, safety, and quality, those are the pillars of this business. And executing on that has nothing to do with AI. Nothing to do with AI. Nothing. Literally nothing. Nor automation. It's all in here, and it's operational excellence. Then you can add AI once you do that. But if you don't have that, you don't have a business. And going the opposite way, where you get all the automation and AI, and then coming in and trying to grow the crops profit, it has never worked. Billions of dollars spent in the vertical farming industry, of which I'm an alumni. It has never, ever worked. It cannot work. Because that's not agronomy. That's not how plants and animals work. That's not how farming works. And so these kids are getting millions of dollars, and it's going to be blown. And anybody that knows anything about fungi will tell you this and agree with me. So this money is gone. It's gone. And this is the problem with capitalism. If Antifa knew the amount of money that VCs were blowing on startups that had zero chance of success from the beginning, they would burn this country down. I mean, it's astonishing. It's appalling, and it's maddening. Because the people that know how to do it don't know how to explain it, and the people that know how to explain it don't know how to do it. And they will never combine naturally. They go in different circles. These guys, it looks like they're from Stanford. It's over. They'll never want for nothing. They're in the top 20% for the rest of their lives. They'll fail forward. They'll retire eventually. They'll cash out some equity at some startup they join after learning how to not do fungi operations and networking with this YC cohort, right? And it's the same old story. I'm saying this because this is me, okay? I know how it goes. I was just, I guess, fortunate enough not to blow 1.8 million and instead blow 150 grand. And even then, I got customers. I got lots of customers. It was it could have been a lifestyle business. It was a whole thing. I was too young and emotionally immature to manage the relationship with my partners and renegotiate a new cap table and all the stuff you got to do as a business, a capitalist, right? So this is crazy. Now let's talk about, it can't be that bad. You don't be so pessimistic. No, I know. I would never. I talk to these people, these kids every day. They think they can raise as much as they want and solve any problem with money. VCs say, sure, why not? It's not ours. You seem smart. You went to Stanford. You must be smart, right? And then this cycle just keeps happening. Vertical farm after vertical farm after vertical farm. Nobody listens. Everyone thinks because they raise money, they're right. Not that they have an interesting hypothesis or promising hypothesis if they're lucky. This is a very dangerous psychological trap to fall in. And nobody tells you the truth because no one's allowed to go on LinkedIn and shit on your parade because they don't want to look like this and the other. Guess what? My last name's Amini. Enough's enough. You guys need to stop wasting so much money. And it's public money. This is pension money. This isn't something to throw around, most likely. Right? And if the VCs don't know, and here we go. So RIP Hedgehog or whatever the hell this failed startup is called. Now, here's some crazy news. this is a big deal. As far as I'm concerned, Russia and China are brewing up a challenge to dollar dominance by creating a new reserve currency. You got Brazil, this is a BRICS. Russia and the other BRICS countries are working on alternative reserve currency. Oh, that would rival the IMF's SDR. Gulp, 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 gulp. So this is the beginning of the end, right? We know this. Everyone knows that the dollar is over, RIP USD. If we are lucky and smart, the indomitable American spirit will prevail via some new digital dollar. But the way these, but that dollar better be democratic. If it's not democratized, how do we expect the central planners at the Fed to fix the problem that they caused? If you knew what you were doing, you just would have avoided the problem in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So there's no chance of that succeeding. The thing that and listen, I don't want a globe. I'm happy to have a multipolar global environment. I do not want another unipolar, environment that is dominated by currency that is controlled by these guys, right? India, Brazil, okay. I mean, India. Who is the gentleman on the far right? Brazil, Russia, India. Who's this C? China, S. Who's this? Who's the S in BRICS? Let's see. BRICS countries. South Africa. Like, oh, a lot of these countries don't treat humans well. We at least try. Good Lord. We're the only country that improves socially every 50 years. The people of America hold themselves to a really high standard, and it is daunting. They don't realize that America is the least racist country in the world because we're not racist enough for ourselves. And so these guys are going to launch a reserve currency tagged to physical rare earth metals, minerals. This is going to change everything. And we are on our last moral, we have no more moral high ground. After the Afghanistan invasion and withdrawal, American leadership is kind of is not being taken seriously anyway. And we see that with Ukraine, we see that with Taiwan, Russia, to counteract Chinese influence, but instead we pushed Russia into China's arms, China is now, well underway with their plan with this Silk Road initiative, which is going to just completely transform the world. And the only hope we have, which this is terrifying, is that the Chinese economy collapses under the weight of their artificially inflated construction industry. That is not good. That is not a good thing to hope for, because if what is it, Everest, and if they all come down, Evergreen, then it's going to just, nobody knows what will happen. I mean, it'll be a tsunami unlike which the world has ever seen, and it's going to change the world. So, but this is tied to a real asset, so a physical asset. So that changes everything, and I think it will cool global GDP growth, and it will therefore, it'll take the highs and the lows, I think, and kind of squish them a little bit. Now, what are we going to do in response? I don't know. But we can't invade all these countries like we've done when anyone else tried to create a gold standard. This is here to stay, and this is going to get real. So I don't know what this will cause. Now, the other news story I think you have to keep in mind, another mega trend, maybe that's the thing I should call this show, is megatrends, is this idea of quiet quitting. I think in China they call it working while lying down, where you're basically lying, sleeping at work effectively. You're not there. And that's for a whole nother set of reasons, mostly social. Here in America, the US dollar has lost so much value, not just in real terms, but in social terms. Like the amount you feel you can get for a dollar for the average person. So the amount of dollars they have in the bank, how much that can buy them is so low. It's lower than it's ever been emotionally than ever before. Rent in Austin just skyrocketed to $4,500 on average. In Charlotte, I think the average rent is 1,100, something like that. And if you have money, great. If you're a capitalist and you got capital. Capitalism is awesome if you have capital. If you don't have capital, capitalism is servitude. There's no way out. And time is the original capital. And so if you have no free time, you can't do anything. Now, we've done a bad job. Everyone has done a bad job communicating because capitalism 2.0 is a big improvement over capitalism 1.0, which I would say ended at the end of the Civil War. Then we need, but capitalism 2.0 and the Green Revolution and all this stuff has caused explosions in the cancer rates, and it's gotten us further than ever before, but not nearly far enough. Like 1.8 million being wasted on a bad idea is not efficient. 40% of food being wasted because of supply chain issues pre-pandemic is not efficient. 2 or 3 or 4 multi-billion-dollar companies competing for the same market and one of them only winning is not efficient use of capital. Like we need to be more. If we were more efficient, everyone would want for nothing. And instead, you have this growing, festering anger amongst the youth and the economically less advantaged in America, and it is going to cause a literal civil war, a balkanization of America if we do not address it. We have, youth male unemployment is a major factor in if civil wars break out, if rebellions occur, so on and so forth. And that is through the roof right now. And I would add that loneliness amongst young men is skyrocketing right now. And that's going to be another contributing factor. A lot of them feel like they can't afford relationships, or afford to invest themselves enough to become someone that is, dating and so on. So that's another bad issue. And then you have this quiet quitting thing. And I've been talking about this for over a year. It's the idea that people are checking out, man. Like your business is not fulfilling them. And that's not the only thing. A work environment is toxic. I guarantee it. And if it's not toxic at whole, there's toxic areas. And this is just unacceptable. There's no need to have a toxic workplace. There's literally no need. It doesn't improve productivity. It doesn't increase output. It doesn't produce, new ideas. It has no benefit. It's a drain on your resources. It's a drain. It increases turnover. It decreases intellectual property, like inventions. It decreases employee retention. It decreases profit through collaboration. It's just like a net drain. So toxicity is to the point where people are just checking out and they're doing literally the bare minimum, below the bare minimum, because they know that hiring is an issue and leaving is an issue. And I mean, it's a whole thing. But Gen Z and young workers are rejecting the idea of going above and beyond in their careers. And the trope is online, if you monitor these conversations, it's that it never pays off. It never pays off. And that's true. It doesn't, well, hard work is not the thing that pays off. If you're in a corporate environment, especially maybe it's more pronounced in a remote environment, I don't know, but it's prevalent regardless. Results don't matter if reputation is great. The inverse is also true. Reputation does not matter. How do I say this? Good results, you can have great results, and if your reputation is bad, it doesn't matter. You can have bad results, but if your reputation is good, it doesn't matter, right? It's all like politics, and this is a really, sorry state of things. So if you're in like a very conscious, intentional startup or business, then you at least have like access to, uh, you know, these conversations to address things. But at the end of the day, most people don't. And most employers, everyone's miserable. And it's just like a pyramid of misery. Um, and it's sad. It's really sad because it doesn't need to be that way. What I want to see are young people, which I'm just calling the communists because they are the conversations they're having, the groups they're engaged in, the pages they follow. There's a strong communist movement in America right now. And you can see it in the unionization of many stores across the country for the first time ever. Starbucks, Amazon, Walmart. The last company I was at even had a bout with it. And, you know, again, I'm here in the middle. Like, I see the value of both. In an ideal world, we're going to have communism for all, capitalism for few, for some. And let me dive into that. Communism for anybody and everybody that needs a safety net and is in a place, maybe they're burnt out, maybe they can't work, maybe they don't want to work, maybe they refuse to work, maybe they don't know what to do. Whatever it is, there's going to be a wonderful, comfortable life for them. Then, those that want to get into the arena, the marketplace of ideas, and fight for, with conviction, their view, and yes, push out someone else with a inferior view and gain market share and play that game, which we need people to do because we need to come up with new stuff constantly. It's not like, you know, and there's an argument for this we can explore in a bit, but like, should we just stop inventing? Should we just stop innovation and just live and like Cuba had to in the 60s? Just that's the last new car that'll enter the market, right? That's like a science, sci-fi, philosophical, conversation people have, but I don't think that's going to ever happen. We are creative beings. We can't stop problem solving, and there's so many problems right now. We've dug ourselves into a really, really bad hole. But the capitalists that have this like high spike in net worth, they're going to be the ones funding the communists, and the two are going to start interchanging because the communists have maximum creativity. They are going to come up with all these interesting ideas very far out of the box. I mean, the average communist, the conversations they have would blow the mind of like a 9-to-5 office worker in his 50s or 60s. Like, nothing crude, nothing, but like you don't even know what's going on outside your office, and your office is a very small space. So there's the whole world out there, right? Now, the capitalists are very organized and like thick-skinned. You know what I mean? They know how to get their idea out there, self-promote, be stewards of capital, so on and so forth. But they don't have good ideas. They just don't. I mean, like, what's the last great invention that came from a major corporation? It's known to everybody that they buy IP through startups, and VCs are kind of that middle ground to get those startups into corporate America because the person that invents it is not the person meant to operate the business. Sorry, founders. First off, calling yourself a CEO of a startup is already cringe. Like, don't do it. You're the founder. You have to prove that you're the CEO. And one day, maybe you can be the CEO. But more likely than not, you don't want to be the CEO. You don't want to deal with CEO problems. It's a mess. I gave up my CEO title recently to my co-founder. I'm like, dude, you're the CEO. All right, I'm the CTO. In this relationship, I'm the communist. You're the capitalist. Fine. I come up with the creativity. You come up with the capital. It's wonderful. And we love each other. We're like, we're two peas in a pot. He's the man. But there's an overlap and there's like key differences. So here's how we know capitalism is broken. Here's how we know we need a new version of capitalism. And we're going to dive into like examples of this over and over again. This is in incredibly insane. I don't know what else to tell you. This is a chart of chronic disease, a massive, where did it go? It's like one of these studies where they look at like every study, right? And here you see on the right, 1985 to 2016. And right around 95 to 99, you start getting an uptick in other health topics, in cardiovascular, in cancer. Now, this is a study of the languages of the amount these things are being discussed. So these are corollaries or proxies for the real thing. And if you look into it, there's just so many of them. But if you look at anything, cancer, chronic disease, anything gastrointestinal issues, Crohn's disease, diabetes, you name it, you see the same pattern. You see the same pattern. And you might be thinking, what happened in the 90s that started this? And why isn't it stopping, even though everyone's talking about it? I have the answer for you. And I hope this doesn't get me a drone strike from our friends at Monsanto. But this is a chart of global glyphosate sales, 1980 to 2018. And you see in the 90s, it picks up. Now you might be thinking, oh, this guy's anti-science. No, shut up. Listen to me. I'm a physics major. I'm a scientist. I'm an actual scientist. I invent stuff constantly. Like, I'm an actual scientist. I conduct experiments. Don't even talk to me if you're going to say that. Just look at the data, man. This is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Because glyphosate is just one highly toxic pesticide. And it's not the GMO that's killing us. Hell, it's not even this that's killing us. This is the causal chain, I believe, is occurring. We're making GMO crops. The GMO crops are immune to or don't die from glyphosate. And they still get sprayed by glyphosate. They don't die from it. The plants around them die from it, the weeds. Then we ship the product to, your grocery store. That food has a large amount of glyphosate in it. The plant absorbs whatever water comes its way. So it absorbs the glyphosate. It just doesn't happen to die from the glyphosate. It doesn't have a way to process it. It's not a natural substance. So it lives with glyphosate in its system. When you eat it, you're taking in the glyphosate. Now, that amount of glyphosate is not enough to kill you, but you know what it is plenty enough to kill? And you can look into it. Your gut biome. You are eradicating your microbiome. The border patrol of your galactic body. You have 40, tens of trillions of cells in your body. That's billions of more cells than the stars in the Milky Way. Like, you are a galaxy of nanotechnology. It's ridiculous. The microbes have evolved with us to protect our gut lining. We have one tube that goes all the way down, hole to hole. It's insane. You put whatever you want in the top, and this bag full of acid turns into mush, and it pulls out whatever parts it needs to build new nanotechnology. Every day, millions of pieces a day. It's bonkers. Like, the amount of computing power to even model it, let alone operate it, is unfathomable. Yet it just does it on its own. Amazing, right? This is proof that there is an intelligent order to the universe, that human beings continuously evolve. The life reduces and produces negative entropy, or takes chaos and creates order, whereas every other system in the world just dissolves into chaos. This is crazy. There's no reason your heart should beat another time after this next beat. There's no reason. It just keeps going. It's unbelievable. Even your heart muscles, it's like it doesn't stop beating for your entire life. Could you imagine a product that you use every day, every second, what is it? About once a second, twice a second sometimes if you're exercising, and it doesn't break because the atoms effectively are replaced piece by piece all the time. This isn't wild, right? And so we're just poisoning the shit out of ourselves, clearing the microbiomes that are effectively coating our GI tract so that nothing bad can cling on and grow, proliferate. So what happens when you napalm the good army? The bad army is free to reign. Oh, but what happens when you give the bad army supplies specific to their equipment and then the good army's gone? The bad army proliferates. This is what the standard American diet, STAD, is doing to all of us. It kills our good biome and it feeds our bad biome. And this is causing all sorts of problems. They're all being traced back to this. And there's just, by now, our soil is so toxic. What? Yeah, I'm almost done. Our soil is so toxic. Our water is now so toxic. We got microplastics in the water, leaching those. Phthalates, which are endocrine disruptors. I mean, it's bad. 50% of us are going to get cancer, So we're solving all these problems. Nobody knows about it. VCs won't invest, so they're self-funded, blah, blah, blah. So the worse it gets, the quicker and the better solutions will rise to the top. So I'm not, pessimistic at all. The problem creates a solution. Unfortunately, we were in an era of too many solutions, which made us like soft and spoiled, which created all these problems. And so the yin yang cycle of life, I guess, continues. But it's turning, and this is going to be an unprecedented market opportunity for anybody that wants to participate in it. You have to get your head out of your ass, though, and get more capital efficient, because we're in a recession. It's going to be rough. There's a downturn coming like you don't even know, and you have to come up with solutions that actually work. This idea that you get to blow $1.8 million on a bunch of ideas and nothing gets patented or sold from that is it's appalling. It's kind of disgusting. All right, guys and gals, have a good rest of your